On everybody in my never-ending quest to find fellow Niner YouTubers, uh, whether it's content creators such as myself, radio guys, podcasters, whatever. I'm always trying to increase my knowledge and just get as much association with people that love the same team that I do, no matter what the platform is. Uh, I've been recently, I go through YouTube, I look for other channels, other people who talk the same stuff as I do, the same content. And 49er Minded, I think I interacted with him on Instagram before I started on YouTube. I'm not positive, but I wanted to give him a chance to get his voice be known, get his name out there. I'm all about trying to help myself and others grow in the YouTube community and the content creating community. So, Bashar, 49er Minded, welcome to the stream. Glad we could get this thing going. And if you could just tell everybody about yourself, where to find you, what got you into YouTube, how long you've been doing it, and then we'll get this thing going.
How's it? I really appreciate you bringing me on. We barely know each other, but we have the same similar interests, and it's always good to connect with fellow 49er fans, regardless. And if it's on YouTube, even better. So I live over in the 916 area code, the 916 Sacramento area. I'm not born in the Bay Area. I was actually born in the Middle East. My family's from the Middle East, but lived in California most of my life. And when I lived in California, primarily the Bay Area mainly. Lived in Southern California for 2 years, but now I'm in the Sacramento area, not too far from the Bay. But I've always been about Bay Area sports. I've always been about the Niners. My mother and father didn't introduce me to the game. They were unaware of what football was. But, growing up, my brother got more heavily into football, and I followed his lead more so in the 7th grade. And it was a good time. It was perfect timing because at that time, Joe Montana and Jerry Rice were leading the 49ers to Super Bowl victories. And, I was a part of it as a fan, and I haven't walked away ever since. I was initially a YouTuber back in the 2009 season when we initially acquired Michael Crabtree when he had that holdout rookie season. I had a YouTube channel called Bashar Cali 49, and I was filming things at tailgates from Candlestick Park. I had a lot of fun, and then I kind of got burnt out, to be honest with you. And for the past 3 years, I had this itch to get back on YouTube for some weird reason. I was like, I feel like I should get back on. Why not? It's been a minute. It's been a while. But, hey, our team looks like they're, possibly moving in the right direction with Shanahan, even though we've been hitting the injury bug like crazy. And I connected with a whole lot more Niner fans online, and I just kind of had this bug to get on, So, I was heavily a part of Hawk Hater TV's show as far as I was moderating the chat on the show, and I was like a long-time caller when he was doing his call-in show for a bit. Before that, I was calling in on Rombo. Called in on the Beast Rider show, called in on Grant Cohn, and just being inspired by watching these guys on YouTube and do their thing, watching all these channels, all these content creators. There's so many of them. As 49er fans, people always say like we're spoiled because there's so many content creators out of there. And I was just like, you know what? Now's the time to do it. Why not? Give it a shot,
No, I'm glad you're here. Like I said, I like to interact with anybody who's a 49er fan, and I like to interact with people who are YouTubers that we're all kind of striving for the same thing. And I feel like there's enough room for all of us, and everybody wants to just, etch out their little spot on YouTube. That's what I've tried to do. I've never tried to be anybody else except myself, really. Cause there's people on here that are, film junkies that, they kind of set themselves at a level above myself. And, you can't get like, I kind of got myself down at first when I was on YouTube, and I'm like, my whole thing was always trying to format it like a podcast. That was kind of always my desire with just video, and like if you watch some of my videos, a lot of them are audio, no video, a little bit of a wave stream going across the screen. That was always just my preferred way of doing things. And then little by little, I started getting into the streaming part of it where people would, hey, you want to come on my channel and, kind of talk about yourself, get yourself out there. And little by little, my channel has grown. It's been a slow grind for sure. It's taken me a long time to get to where I am, follower wise. It's a full-time job, and you're right. You can get burned out on doing this. Sometimes, especially during this off season, I was getting a little bit burned out. At work, I was out of work for twice over the past 2 years with shoulder problems. So I was doing a lot of YouTube stuff. So by the time I was ready to go back to work, I was done with the kind of the YouTube thing for a while. I wanted to kind of stop for a while because there was nothing to talk about. You're rehashing the same old thing over and over again. And now that the season's here and there's actually concrete, real things to talk about, my passion's kind of renewed itself. And I felt what other better way to get that passion back is to get another fellow 49er YouTuber as myself. And we can talk about this Sunday, how excited we are, and what our thoughts are on the season and expectations, things like that. So I guess my first question for you is what are your expectations going into this Sunday and then maybe season wide? Do you see us as a competitor for the league, the division? I mean, what's your realistic expectations for the 49ers?
Yeah. Before I answer that, you asked me about where to find me on social media, and I kind of left that part out. So I'll bring that up right now. My channel on YouTube is obviously 49er Minded. You can find me on Twitter which is at BEEZEE 49ers. Or if you just type 49er Minded somewhere on Twitter, my feed and will definitely pop up if you just search 49er Minded on Twitter. And also there's a Facebook group. We have about 3,000 members right now. And that's on, it's a private group on Facebook, but just try to be a member and I'll accept you on there. I'm the admin. So yeah, that's how to connect. Oh yeah, on Instagram too. Just go 49er Minded on Instagram. And that's how me and 49er First Takes right here. That's how we got together. So yeah, man. As far as the season, I feel pretty good going into this season. I know last year it sucks being a Niner fan in recent years because it's like we had these high expectations, but the injury bug bites us. Now, knock on wood, I'm actually knocking on some wood right now. The training camp and the preseason, it started off pretty bad, but overall, it looked pretty good as far as being healthy and staying healthy in general. Our main horses seem like they're primed and ready for the season. We're deeper at certain positions that we for example, like in the Super Bowl season, I think we're deeper at some positions now than we were back then. So, assuming we stay healthy and those depth positions do produce when called upon, I see us winning 10 games. I see us sneaking into the playoffs some way, somehow. I can't guarantee that we're going to win our division. Sure, I'd love to say we're going to win our division and win the Super Bowl and it's going to be all fine and dandy, but you have to be realistic. Now, what 7 games we're losing, I don't know, but there's always those trap games that pop up where you could look on the schedule and say, oh, this team sucks or this team's weak. We can beat them. But the NFL doesn't always work out that way. But assuming we're healthy, regardless of who the quarterback is, by the way. I mean, I'm a big Trey Lance supporter and I want to see him on the field, but even if Jimmy's out there, I still think we have a good shot at winning 10 games this year.
Yeah, I think this team is deeper, definitely, especially in the defensive line and running back. I think those are two positions that are hopefully we don't have to test the depth like we have in the past. We go in saying, oh, we got all these guys, and then we end up testing every single one of them during the season. I want it to be where it could be a heavy rotation of pass rushers and defensive linemen. Keeps everybody healthy, keeps everybody fresh through the year. Running back, I'm really, really stoked about. It's unfortunate that Jeff Wilson Jr. is going to be on the shelf for a while. He's one of my favorites. But that's definitely a position. Even receiver is sneakily becoming, I can't say deep, but all the questions we had from the draft on, and even during the draft about wide receiver, I feel like with Trent Sherfield coming on out of nowhere, Mohamed Sanu looking healthier this year. Jawan Jennings, I think he's a 7th rounder. Possibly, him catching on. I'm really kind of sneakily kind of stoked about this wide receiver position. Corner is my concern and offensive line. But every team in the NFL has questions. Nobody's roster outside of maybe Tampa's is, tight throughout. There's always some leaky spots on your roster. So I'm definitely stoked about this year. As far as win-loss, it's all health-based. Everything that I say, if people listen to a lot of my videos or streams, everything is always predicated on, I always talk about health. I can see the Niners winning 12 games this year, maybe, 12-5. Division, to me, should be the first goal and staying healthy, and then whatever happens after that. Now that there's only one number 1 seed, if the Niners don't get that number 1 seed, it's not that they're not any good. There's just only one seed now. So stranger things have happened. Teams have come the long way in the playoffs and won the Super Bowl. So I'm not really counting anything out this year. Again, it's just health. And I think we're talented enough to compete with Tampa. Do we beat them? I don't know. Maybe not, but maybe. It's week one. Nothing's happened yet. We have a long way to go. A lot of things can change during the season, so I'm pretty stoked.
Yeah, you mentioned Sherfield. I was surprised to see him do so well. With the first things I heard about him in mini camps to training camp, and then all of obviously preseason, it's just been a huge surprise. Because when we first signed him, I had no idea who he was, and I thought I should be aware of him because he's from Arizona Cardinals. We play the Cardinals twice a year, so I should be aware of who a good portion of their players are. But I didn't know who he was, and they said he was more of a special teams guy. But they were saying that he's got some speed. That's what I was hearing, and lo and behold, he looks like a deep threat version of Anquan Bolden so far, so to speak. And he's built like Bolden. That's why I'm not saying he plays exactly like him, but we all know that Bolden was never fast. But amazing player nonetheless. But what even opened up my eyes even more was recently Larry Fitzgerald put out some tweet or some quote just saying that, he thinks the world of Trent Sherfield. So I was like, wow, okay. I had no idea he had such thoughts about him like that. And that's good to know. And I was watching some podcasts. I wish I could remember where I watched it, but they were almost like cracking jokes about Cliff Kingsbury. They said like, well, what a blunder for him to have such a player as Trent Sherfield on his team, and he doesn't even know how to use him. So hopefully we reap the benefits of that, because we needed to strengthen our wide receiver depth big time. A lot of people bitched and moaned after the draft that we didn't draft. There was a pretty deep receiver draft from what I saw, and I wanted a few receivers as well, and we didn't make those moves come draft time for whatever reason. And it's okay, though, because if this Sherfield pickup pans out like we think it will, I think we'll be fine, because you already got Debo, you got Ayuk. Sanu, he's past his prime, but he worked really hard this offseason. I'll give it to him. And he's saying that, hey, I want to be on this roster. He got cut last year. Maybe that was a slap in the face to him, and he took it really hard. And he's a fighter, man. So hey, he's on the roster. Another receiver who I'm pretty bummed out about is Jalen Hurd. I'm almost afraid to say. I'm almost afraid. Oh, that was your next topic. Okay. Yeah. I don't know how you want to start it, but go ahead, man. I'll elaborate on whatever you want to say.
No, I was just going to say, you've seen the news that he's probably heading to IR. That's the talk, that he's probably, I guess, after the Raiders game, he had some issues, tendonitis, and it hasn't gone away. I'm at a position, or at a point, not a position, at a point right now where I could care one way or the other about the kid. Not personally against him, just this thing has kind of hit a point now where it's just like, I don't expect anything. And if he gets cut in 6 weeks and the Niners move on from him, I'm not going to be upset. I'm not going to pound the table for him. The Niners have put a lot of time and resources into trying to get this kid healthy, and maybe his body's just not meant for the NFL. And, now I'll let you go, but like, I wanted to see how do you feel about the situation? Because you said you were pretty bummed.
Ever since I saw, let me rewind this, because before we even drafted him, I know this one guy who was part of this 49er group conference call that I partake in, and he was just saying Jalen Hurd like every other day, and it would just go over my head every day. He'd say his name, like, why does he keep saying Jalen Hurd? I have no idea who this guy is. And then he just kept talking about him, how he was a running back at Tennessee, and then people kept going at his knees, and he asked to be switched to receiver, but the receiver coach at Tennessee wasn't going for it, so he transferred to Baylor, and we all know. Then, lo and behold, we drafted him. I'm like, okay, cool, we drafted this guy. I heard so much about him. Let's see what he's all about. This 6'4" guy who, once he became a receiver at Baylor, he learned how to run routes right away, which is rare. It's running routes, and that type of skill isn't a type of skill that you just pick up overnight. So, he did pick it up, and he looked like he was ready to be a receiver. And we get him. He shines big time in that Cowboys game, and we never see him ever since. Apparently, he played in the Bronco game. I don't even remember that he played in the Bronco game. I don't think he caught a pass, but he hurt his back some way, somehow in that game, and then the ACL tear the year after. So it's like, it's this big hot air balloon, and every year that balloon just keeps getting smaller, and it's almost to the point right now when they said that recent thing about IR, I was thinking, okay, maybe it's just they'll just have him on there for a few weeks and they get him ready for the nitty-gritty part of the season. But, in all honesty, I I want to see the guy on the field just as bad as anybody. But what my expectations aren't really there anymore. Like if they say, because my brain is already programmed right now to say, hey, he's probably done, and we're not going to get any production out of him. It sucks because I defended him like crazy, and I just, when I see a certain talent or certain attributes of a certain player, and if they have in my opinion, in my eyes at least, that I give that player a certain ceiling, I want to see that. I get excited about that player. And it's not because I'm a homer for Jalen Hurd or, people were like telling me that, why do you want this guy on the team? And he gets hurt all the time. I'm like, look, every once in a blue moon, I see talent and I'll make exception. I make a major exception for that talent. And that's what I saw him. I was like, I'm dying to see this guy play. Like, when's he going to get on the field? Because I know once he gets out there, he's going to do so many great things for us. But that balloon I was telling you about is there any air left in that balloon? Probably not. I mean, maybe very little, but it sucks, man. It's a violent game. Once he gets back onto the field, you're going to get injured regardless because it's a rough game. So with him, his likelihood does not seem too good. So it sucks.
Speaking of injuries, Trey's was back throwing the last couple days. I guess he's out of the brace. I'm hoping that he can make it to week 1 and he could, be there to, do whatever role they're going to use him for. Were you really ever that worried about this bone chip in his hand, or was it more of like just a formality for you?
I saw it as a ticky-tacky injury. I didn't think much of it at all. Too. Yeah. Some people were like, oh, well, they said 7 days, but you know how things on the 49ers, if they say 7 days, it ends up being 7 weeks.
Yeah, they're not lying.
Yeah, but that is, they do have a point there. But
they're always having setbacks.
I mean, we saw the injury happen during the game. We saw it, right? And I was thinking to myself, why? I think he played with it, if I'm not mistaken. So I'm thinking, okay, he hurt himself. It can't be that bad because he's still playing. But then they said he's out. So I was like, okay, it can't be that bad. And lo and behold, he's already throwing again. So it's not going to be anything that we're going to be talking about in the future. At least I hope not.
What's your mindset on Jalen Hurd? Are you a Jalen Hurd advocate, or are you okay with the way that they're going about doing things right now? Because I seen him in preseason. He does look raw in some ways.
You mean Trey Lance?
Yeah.
Trey Lance. Okay, we already talked about Hurd.
Yeah, we could see the rawness with the Trey Lance. And I could see why they want Garoppolo to kind of start this thing out. But then you also can see the amazing talent and the amazing otherworldly ability that this guy has. I'm kind of okay with kind of easing him in. If Jimmy can stay healthy, Jimmy, say what you want about him. I'm not the biggest Jimmy fan, but the Niners hopefully will have a really good running game around him and a really good defense, kind of like 2019. Where they can somewhat carry Jimmy, or Jimmy can kind of just, be there and not screw it up kind of thing. The Niners are built kind of similar to 2019. So I'm okay with the whole Jimmy thing. But, at some point I would like to see the kid get some snaps on the field, because eventually next year, hopefully he's going to be the starter. You don't want him to be going almost 2 full seasons or however long he's going to be where he hasn't really taken a snap. The preseason is one thing, but regular season is totally different. So, what's your opinion on it? Do you have one way or the other?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, starting with Jalen Hurd before the draft. The first quarterback I fell in love with was Zach Wilson, but then I realized we had no chance at getting him. And then I was like, okay, Fields, and then Fields or Lance. I was kind of flip-flopping between the two. And then I was kind of thinking Fields a bit more, mainly because he played at the bigger school, played against tougher competition.
Right.
And I didn't know as much about Lance as I did about Fields at the time. I had no idea Lance was this, intelligent guy past his years, or mature guy past his years. And obviously I didn't think about I didn't take into account that he took more snaps from center than the other quarterbacks coming out. So, but obviously when drafted him, I was super excited, and I thought, cool, man, this is going to be awesome. Some people were saying, oh, he's a 2-year project. And I was, back in my head, I was thinking, oh, that kind of sucks, because I want to see a new quarterback in the mix ASAP. I'll be honest, when Steve Young spoke up about Jimmy G last year midseason after the injury against Seattle, he basically said he doesn't see Jimmy G back as a 49er the following season. And when Steve Young spoke, a former 49er Hall of Fame quarterback speaks up about our quarterback like that, I follow with what he's saying. You know, if I'm going to
Yep.
follow anybody, I'm going to follow with what Steve Young's saying. You know, yeah, I like to formulate my own opinions, but you know, obviously Steve Young knows a whole lot more about football than I do.
That's right.
So I was pretty excited to get a new quarterback in the mix, but then part of me's like, okay, well, first we have to see what Lance is made of. We haven't heard from him in training camp or preseason yet. Let's see what he does there. You know, first mini camp, they said he was sailing balls over people's heads, but I was like, oh, okay, whatever. It's the first practice, and little by little, he just kept getting better and better. I was at the first preseason game against Kansas City. Boom, he airs it out for the 80-yard pass. I'm like, wow, this guy looks amazing. But of course, you know, during the game, we saw those little things where he got sacked really quick and he wasn't analyzing the pre-snap reads or the disguised coverages. So obviously, it's like, okay, Jimmy's advanced at him, you know, just due to plain and simple, just plain experience. Jimmy's more advanced at him in certain ways, you know. But I just, the back of my head, I'm like, it's just a matter of time before Trey Lance becomes a starter. I was thinking he could still be a week one starter. I just think that the fact that we're paying Jimmy G all this money, $27 million, it basically gave Trey Lance a seat on the bench for week one or the early part of the season. You know, that high salary that we're paying Jimmy. Otherwise, had Trey Lance stepped on to any other team, you know, whether, you know, if they're paying whatever they have whatever veteran quarterback and they're paying him a small salary, it's a good chance that Trey Lance would be a starter on almost any other team, like right away. Mm-hmm. And I'm sorry if I'm going too long with this,
fine. Go ahead.
But, you know, for example, look at Kyler Murray. You know, they were saying, you know, they made this whole argument about Trey Lance, how he didn't play enough games or he took a year off, you know, because of the COVID thing. But, you know, you got guys like Kyler Murray. I believe he only played 17 games in college football, you know, before he became, and he did find his rookie year. I thought he looked really good, you know. And then, you know, Mac Jones, it's not like Mac Jones was a 4-year starter or anything. He just started that 1 year. So, you know, people knock Trey Lance for his lack of experience, but it's not like these other guys coming out who are shown success are way more experienced than he is. So I think Lance would have been ready had he started week one. Now, obviously, he'd probably make mistakes along the way, but hey, let your rookie quarterback get his bumps and bruises out of the way. That's how I look at it. You know, he's going to learn from his mistakes, move on. You know, they said in practice that he's not the kind of guy that makes the same mistakes twice. And he's very diligent in his research. And, you know, when they talked about how often he's on his iPad studying the playbook, his work ethic is like through the roof. So I'm really excited about Trey Lance. But at the same time, I'm okay. I'm still okay with them playing Jimmy a little bit for now and seeing where they go with Jimmy. And, you know, if the wheels fall off of Jimmy, hey, we got Trey Lance waiting in the wings.
Exactly. And a lot of people are acting surprised when all the talk coming out of the draft was Mac Jones was probably the most pro ready. Trey Lance was probably the rawest, but with the highest ceiling. All those things were said, and then those things happen, and people act like, oh, wow, Mac Jones. It's like, we already knew this. We already knew he was the most pro-ready guy. We already knew that Trey was raw with a ton of ability and with a high ceiling. People, you know what it is? What a problem with people is they don't let things play out. Everybody is an instant gratification. We live in an instant gratification world as people, and we don't have any patience. I'm not trying to compare Trey Lance to Troy Aikman, but Troy Aikman was almost ran out of town early in his Dallas career. And then they finally, you know, they got the defense and they got, you know, they had Emmitt Smith and all that other stuff. And it finally came together and, you know, now he's in the Hall of Fame. This thing needs to get a chance. It needs to have a chance, you know, it needs to have a chance to work itself out. Trey's going to play this year, but it's going to be in a controlled setting with, you know, packages that are meant for him. And because you got to ease him in once, you know, eventually, because next year you would think that he's going to be the starter. They're not going to keep Jimmy on that salary. So we have a pretty good, I wouldn't say Super Bowl ready team, but we have a playoff ready team if healthy. And why not have the guy with the most experience at quarterback and let the young guy kind of, you know, work his way in through whatever way they want to use him and have him as another weapon. I don't want the Taysom Hill treatment. I don't want him as a gadget guy. I want to see him, you know, sling the rock as well as run it. So whatever way Kyle has or whatever things he has in mind, I'm totally down with Kyle. I'm not saying Kyle's perfect. He has some misses in the draft when he's up to pick. So, you know, he's not perfect by any stretch. I'm not a Shanahan super fan. So, but I'm just looking forward to this thing getting started on Sunday. I cannot wait. One question I wanted to ask you, because I was on a I don't know if you heard of Touchdowns and Tight Ends, those young ladies that started a YouTube channel. They had an Instagram story and they asked what your game day traditions are. And I'm like, I'm going to use that as a topic for the stream. So one of the things that I get excited about football every year is every game. It's always the same. It's always pizza and wings before every game. I get super excited because I don't have to have, I have a reason to have pizza and I don't have to, explain myself. And then, of course, usually me and my brother will do a post game. We always make a pot of coffee and go sit out near the fire pit in my backyard. So, what is your game day traditions? What do you do? Anything? Do you eat anything specific? Do you fast during the game because you get stressed and you don't want to have achita? What's your deal?
What's that? What's that disease called? Achita? You said
achita in Italian. It's like
okay, it's Italian. Okay.
Acid reflux.
Oh, okay, I got you. Yeah, I know. I definitely know you're Italian. So you threw something at me I didn't know, a word I wasn't aware of.
My mother was born in Sicily, so
okay, there you go. Yeah, I could tell. I saw you on your previous video, and I remember you were talking about your little rituals too. Really quick, I want to go back to Trey Lance really quick. Yeah, I was going to say the same thing. He did miss a year of football, but we're going to be throwing him in on the field in almost every game that Jimmy pretty much starts anyways. But hopefully it's situations where they have him throw the ball from time to time because I don't want it to be like a Lamar Jackson type role where he's just this freaking pseudo running back the whole time. You know what I mean? Now I know when he's on the field, it definitely helps the running game the running game is more effective when he's on the field because teams account for him more when they run those fakes where he's pretending like he's going to run with his read option plays. And we saw Mostert, get some nice big gains in that Raider game when Lance was on the field. You can see the effect. You can definitely see the Trey effect when he's out there by just handing the ball off, which is nice. I welcome it. I just don't want to see Lance get hurt and run around all over the place. I want to see him be a quarterback. So touchdowns and tight ends brought up the rituals thing. I hate to burst your bubble or let you down, but I'm a play it by ear type of guy, man. I just really am. Like, hey, if I wake up and have breakfast before a game, fine. If I don't, and if I fast, fine. I'll just drink some water. I know it's pretty boring. I'm sorry. I wish I had. I saw you with Jesse Naylor. You were talking about how you have pizza all the time. Yeah. And if anything, if I do have pizza, it's probably after the game. Once in a blue moon, I'll have pizza during a game.
I eat usually before the game. I try to eat as much because I get so stressed watching football. Like me and my nephew are the most stressed, negative. We're horrible to be around. People are like, "Are you guys even Niner fans?" We're just really critical. We want greatness every play, all game. We have no, it's bad. People, if any of you guys sat with me during a game, you would think I wasn't a 49ers fan. You would think I was a hater because I'm just super critical. So food sometimes will give me achita. So I try to eat beforehand. So, if I could pound out 3 or 4 or 5 slices and some wings, into the middle of the first quarter, I'm good, Yeah. I don't want to eat during halftime. So, because then I have to marinate with whatever's happening and I'm going to be, stressing out.
Yeah, but you mentioned pizza though. I'm a big pizza guy. I have a pizza oven in my backyard. I make my own dough. I've watched about 50 videos on how to make New York pizza. Even though I live in California, I've never been to New York and had their pizza, but heard so many great things about it, and I tried to emulate it myself. So I love my pizza. I love my food. I'm just so wrapped up in the game, or like my priorities to watch the game first, and then worry about eating and food and whatever. But I don't wear any special T-shirt or jersey. If anything, I'll probably throw my 49ers shorts on, or I'll wear this top or a 49er T-shirt or whatever. I don't make it a point to always wear my jerseys. I should wear them more. They're expensive.
I get really hot when I watch games, so a lot of times the jerseys either come on the next day, like on my day off if they win. Even if they lose, I'll rock it to like the grocery store,
Yeah.
But I get really hot.
I'll tell you this. Games. If anybody sees me out in public, I'm always wearing this 49er hat or my other 49ers hat, and I just love wearing 49er clothing. And people stop me. I love it, and I love when people stop me and want to talk Niners,
Yes.
It's always fun. I'll run into Niner fans that are like freaking 80 years old and say they were season ticket holders at Candlestick, and
that's awesome.
Sometimes they'll give me good memory, they'll tell me good stories and stuff, so it's cool. But back to what you were saying about when you watch football games with your nephew and you're stressed out. My brother, God rest his soul, I'm a 49er fan because of my brother, basically. when I used to sit with him, man, he it would be like, it would make me so nervous, and I was like, I wanted to tell him like, hey, be quiet or shut up or stop saying this, stop saying that, but I didn't want to be rude and I didn't want to make him even more mad. But he'd swear every other play or be like, damn. But he was really tense watching the games, and for me, I'm just like quiet. I'm kind of like quiet, you know. And then when something big happens, I go crazy, you know. But
absolutely,
it's just we get so wrapped up into these Niner games, it's not even funny, man.
Because we want that prize, man. Like, listen, I'm 41. I'll be 42 in December. The last time the Niners won a Super Bowl, I was in freshman in high school. The 94-95 school year. So it was the back half of the year. I remember being so happy that the Niners won, and to have gotten there twice and having me and my nephew, because my nephew's 26, so to have me and him experience that and to have the heartbreak of 2 losses, it's tough. It's real tough. Like, I wanted him to experience it, and we were there twice, and both times we were in the game with a chance to win, especially the last one. And so to me, football is. I mean, you got to prioritize life. You know, of course, there's things more important than football. But for those 3 hours on Sunday when I'm watching that game, that's the only thing that matters, you know? Now that I have a YouTube channel, it's definitely great to be able to vent. So if I'm pissed, you know, I keep it PG. I don't go R-rated or anything. I'm not part of the TC, you know, the trash talk circuit on YouTube. That's just not my deal. But I do get, you know, I have things to say. Like one of my videos I made earlier, a couple days ago about Jalen Hurd. If you listen to the tone of my voice, I was hot. I was pissed. Like, I'm done with this guy. I'm so over him, you know? So I'm glad I have the avenue to use YouTube as a way to talk. I'm sure you do too. Get things off your chest, you know, don't let it marinate it. Don't let it give you a heart issue. Get on YouTube, say what you got to say. And then, you know, a lot of people react differently. Some people are like, no matter what happens during the game, they're super supportive and it's all Niners all day. And it's like, they don't have an objective mindset where I'm super objective. So.
Well, yeah, I could be objective from time to time. So I wouldn't say I'm ever super objective, unless it's just a game where we're just getting destroyed and we look really stupid. Like, but when that Miami Dolphins game took place last year, I was I was quiet, but it just destroyed my whole day. Like, it just I just felt terrible the whole day because of how bad we were in the field, and
that was so bad. That was so bad. No, go ahead. Is
it cool if I say what's up to some people in the chat? You know, I see.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, we got good buddy of mine. Well, first CG Ruthless Sports, I saw him on there. I mean the Dream.
The Dream is the man. I
love that guy. Man. Subscribe to his channel with no doubt. Pinor, yep. What's up, Pinor? Yep. Pinor's always got something funny to say in the chats. He's always he's very interesting. He definitely knows his Niners too. By the way, he's very passionate about his Niners. And then Jay, don't call me Mickey Mouse, is in the chat. Great supporter of my channel and many other channels. Oh, and Jay in the Bay. What's
Jay
good?
in the Bay just popped in. Look at that.
That made my day, man. Jay in the Bay's in the house.
Yeah, Jay in the Bay is great. Jay has, like, I always say that every Niners YouTuber has their own shtick. He's the most passionate and I'm trying to think of the word charismatic. YouTube, one of the most charismatic.
He's
YouTubers.
He's up there.
I'm very kind of straight. I play the straight man, as they would say. You know, I'm very kind of even keel. So to see somebody who's just like totally playing with his viewers and stuff and just having fun, that's great. And for me to try to be that guy would be so super inauthentic. So, you know,
it's gotta be organic. People,
yeah, it's gotta be real, and that's how he does his thing, and I love it. I just want to say I love you, Jay.
Oh, Jay's
love
awesome
for you, bro. Can't wait for this Sunday, man. I hope we win so we could all be all on YouTube at the same time, stealing viewers from each other.
Yeah, I saw that episode where you said that you sound like Ray Romano. I thought that was pretty funny when you said that. I never thought of. I didn't think about it.
Nobody's called me out on it except for one person.
The thing is, it never crossed my mind had you not said it. But then when she said it, I was like, okay, yeah, I see that. I don't think I sound like anybody.
It's all kind of there.
I could talk just like Kermit the Frog if you want me to. But
I could before I went through puberty. I could literally.
I could still do it
perfectly.
Yeah. Sorry if I threw you off with the topics.
Yeah, I'm like, we're talking about Kermit the Frog in here?
Hey ho, Kermit the Frog here. You know.
Exactly. I wanted to touch on something that's been really bothering me. And that's the Javon Kinlaw situation. Like,
Mm.
what is the Javon Kinlaw? Like, I tweeted something on Twitter. I was kind of mad the other day. Like, you've seen all these press conferences he's done, and he's just like tough guy, and he acts really like, I don't know. I'm so tired of the like. I just want to see him on tape. I want to see him on the field. No more talk. No more press conference bites. No more talking about biting squirrels. Like, I'm all like, what's going on with this guy? Like, what is the
Yeah.
deal? Are they hiding
I,
something?
I don't know. It's like for me, like the first thing I heard about Kinlaw this offseason, well, if we want to go way back before the draft, they said he had a surgery. So I'm like, oh, he had a surgery. That's not good. But then they're like, oh no, it'll be fine. He'll be ready for camp or for training camp or whatever. I'm like, okay. And then I didn't even think about it. Then I think in one of the first mini camps or early training camp was it D'Amico Ryan said that, oh, expect Javon Kinlaw to make a huge jump this season. And I'm like, yeah, man, that's gonna be sick, dude. Like, we already have a great D line as it is in terms of depth, but if Javon Kinlaw can pan out and be like an amazing pass, a great D tackle pass rusher along as a run stopper, hey, I'll take that all day. And then when you look at Javon Kinlaw, he looks scary, man. He's a huge, gigantic guy with arms like tree trunks, legs like tree
Right.
trunks, and his face got that weird, scary looking face. And but when he steps on the field in practice, it's almost like it's kind of like a Jalen Hurd thing, right? You can or you can kind of liken it to Mosley. It's like he's barely out there. It's the same way Mosley is this past
Yep.
preseason. So it's like, and when Kinlaw was in practice, I've heard a lot of good things that he has looked pretty good, and his talent is definitely showing. But if we spent that high of a pick on the guy, we don't need him as a part-time player. We need him as like the foundation of what your defense is going to be about. If we spent that high of a pick on him, so I'm a little iffy on him. I want
Me
to
too.
see him. I want to see him do well. The same way I wanted to see Jalen Hurd produce and exceed everybody's expectations. I want the same for Kinlaw, but we all have to be realistic at the same time. So the jury's still out on him, and hopefully he proves everybody wrong. So we'll see. Great, Grant Coe doesn't like him all that much. I do know that. He trashes him a whole bunch.
Yeah, Grant, I don't always agree with him on stuff, but sometimes his bluntness is where I wish I could go with some guys. Um, I kind of have the same concern with Emmanuel Mosley. There's just a lot of stuff happening right now. I know the Niners aren't privy to tell anybody anything really. They don't have to. They have to report injuries or whatever, but um, all this stuff happening with them signing Josh Norman, cutting Dante Johnson, resigning Dante Johnson. Then there's a report that they might redshirt Aaron Banks and Ambry Thomas this year. And I'm just like, what is happening right now? Like, yeah, like the core of our team's there and everybody's pretty healthy. But like secondary is one of my biggest concerns. And like there's just all this stuff happening behind the scenes, and I don't know what it is. And like I said, we're not privy to it. I wonder what your opinion is on the Emmanuel Mosley situation. I know you were touched on it a little bit, but
Yeah,
I'm pretty concerned about that as well.
I've been concerned about it when it's the first time I heard about it in camp. I mean, it's like I've barely they'll talk about Jalen Hurd because Jalen Hurd's like the redheaded stepchild that likes to get beat up on by the media all the time, but they weren't mentioning it so much about Mosley for whatever reason. Mosley was like over the radar for whatever reason. I was like, well, isn't this guy
Mm-hmm.
supposed to be one of our starting cornerbacks? Like, what's going on here? I don't want to be out there as much as I like the Lenore Diamador Lenore draft pick. I'm not all about throwing him as a starter on day one. I mean, he has to prove himself.
Right.
And I was excited about us drafting Ambry Thomas and Diamador Lenore because I had him in some of my mock drafts, and a couple of my mock drafts I actually picked them both in the same draft. So with Ambry Thomas, I guess we're gonna have to wait a little bit because he is a guy that didn't play last year. I didn't hear about the whole thing where you said that him and Aaron Banks might be redshirted though.
Yeah, it was tweeted by 24/7. It's like 24/7 49er news. Like I even put in my video. I'm not gonna really start a narrative on it because I'm not
Mm-hmm.
100% positive, but it was just an idea that was floated out there, and I
Mm.
forgot who else kind of said, yeah, that might be something that they might be doing, but it's not a concrete story. But it was just something that's out there. But like, I don't want to go too heavy into it because it might be a bunch of hogwash. So
Hogwash. That's definitely a word I don't use. I expect that more
that's
for
my
somebody
dad
from the
right
South.
there.
Oh, did he grow up in the South or something? 'Cause I know you're a New Yorker, aren't
My
you?
my dad, you know, God rest his soul as well. He was just a very much a meat and potatoes Irishman
Oh, okay, I
who
got it.
had all the stupid. My grandmother too. The sayings, like the goofy sayings, like "head for the hills, the shovel broke." When someone's full of crap and they're piling it up. Yeah, just like stupid stuff like that. And you're like, what? So yeah, hogwash was one of his, of course. I I don't know, man. I kind of am
That's
showing my
fun.
age a little bit too because I'm
Hey, well, you
referring.
said your age. I'm older than you, so if that makes you feel better, so
Really?
yeah. I'm 45, so yeah,
Oh, yeah, we're good, man. We're still in our 40s.
yeah. Hey, 40's
I
the new
never thought
20,
that would
right?
happen.
40's the new
What's
20.
that?
I said 40's the new 20, right?
Right.
What
I
player
hope
were we
so.
talking about? We went off track here. I was gonna
Yeah,
say something.
I
I was
tend
gonna
to do
tell.
that. I have
I was gonna.
ADD.
I do that. I do it all the time. I'm really bad at that. But usually I have notes. Right now I don't have any notes to work off of because I'm not hosting. We were
Yeah, we were
talking
just
about
talking about
somebody.
Manuel Mosley.
Mosley. Okay. Oh, that now I remember. Aaron Banks. I'm a big O line guy. I played offensive line in high school. I played guard, and one of the guys I actually won in the draft was Asante Samuel in round 2 if we could get him. But we went O line. I was like, okay, you know what? I can live with that because I know our offensive line issues are definitely need to be addressed somewhere or another. And this Aaron Banks guy, I wasn't really familiar with him at the time, but they pulled up the tape and he looked like this huge giant Mike Yapati type guard, and they
Right.
said he was. They said he was excellent in pass blocking, and I'm like, okay, cool. That's what we need. I'm not a big Brunskill, even though people say I look like him. I'm not a big Daniel Brunskill fan. Now that he's starting, of course, I want him to produce and I want him to be productive because Aaron Banks is behind the curve. Hopefully, he develops. I don't want it to be a bust of a pick. It's still early. It's
Right.
still super early.
It is.
So he's got a lot to work on, and hopefully he progresses. Some of those guys that struggle early in the season or in preseason, I've seen it happen before with certain players where mid-season they step up and they look like a totally different player. So who knows? I mean, hopefully he pans out. I don't want to have our early draft picks just not look good. And I saw you in the other video talking about how we hit on those late round picks, and yet
All the time.
yeah,
That's- I
yet
don't
the
know
early
what it is
picks
about the
don't
late
always
round.
pan out. I also want to see what's up to this one guy that I befriended recently on YouTube, Clown Man. He's
Yeah.
definitely a character, and I only
See
knew
his reaction to
that's what
drafting
I was just
Trey
gonna
Lance?
say that I
Yeah,
discovered it
I had to
because
read. Yeah, go ahead.
I discovered it because I was okay when we drafted Trey Lance. I typed in Trey Lance draft reaction on YouTube, and I
so
watched
did I.
about. I did that on Instagram too, and I pulled his up, and I was sending it to my friends. Oh, dude, you gotta watch this guy. He's doing these Ric Flair
He
type
was
moves.
so intense.
Yeah, and I loved
it.
it. I loved it. I was like, that's what an awesome reaction to us drafting Trey Lance. And yeah, so shout out to him, man.
Yeah, definitely, Clown Man. You are the man. You said you played offensive line in high school. I
Yeah,
had a lot of
I played
offensive
guard.
line friends because I was kind of a skinny twerp in high school.
Oh,
I
okay.
probably weighed about 145 pounds. I was about the same height now. I'm about 6'3", but I was really skinny. So I had a couple O-line friends
That's good.
that were always like, 6'4", or 300 pounds.
yeah.
And I'm like, those are my dudes. They're always protecting me.
Yeah,
But
I was never that tall in high school. No, I was like 6 feet in high school. I'm like barely 6'1" right now. Yeah.
yeah, I always made sure I was always friends with the big dudes because I was a twerp. Now I don't need it as much now, but back in the day, I was like, you always had to have a couple of O-line guys in high school that would protect you, So I always was. I've always had a thing for O-line guys, like as far as like being
That's
friends
funny.
with them.
I got you. That's cool.
What was I gonna say? I wanted to ask you this because there was a quote that came out in the offseason about the Niners running the ball 500 times this season. Do you consider the Niners a run-first team? Because I'm totally fine with that. I wasn't always fine with the Niners being a running team. I like the, as Eric Crocker says, air that hoe out. But I've grown to love a dominant smash mouth run game, and I just wanted to get your opinion on that.
My era of watching football, I'm a little older than you, but we're almost from the same era, more or less.
Yeah.
I've always been about running the ball. And even when I played in the games, when I was on the field, I'm like, let's jam this ball down their throats. It's an old school football mentality. It's pre-fantasy football. That mentality predates fantasy football. And I like it. I welcome it. But at the end of the day, I still want to be effective throwing the ball as well. Now if Trey Lance becomes their quarterback eventually somewhere down the road, I still think we can run the ball down people's throats. And, like we were mentioning earlier, teams would have to account for him in the run game. But then again, you still have this guy that can air the ball 80 yards down the field if need be, So, but I don't know if we're going to run the ball 500 times. That's a high number for the whole season. But who knows? They might be able to do it. I mean, I'm not expecting it 100%, but it may happen. And you can. I forgot where I heard this on some other podcast. I heard this. It might have been Eric Davis who said it, but it's almost like you're playing offense and defense at the same time. In some way, shape, or form. Like, yeah, you're running the ball, you have the ball, but then again, you're protecting your defense from being on the field. They don't have to tire themselves out and be on the field the whole time, and you're keeping the other team's offense off the field. So, I love ball control. I'm all about that. It doesn't hurt.
Sorry, I'm having an issue.
I noticed. Yeah, it's all good. CG Ruthless is in the chat. He said, "Did you see the debate I had with the Lions fan? He was interesting." See what else is going on in the chat. So Pinor says Brunskill shouldn't get the flack that he gets. Dude was supposed to be a backup. Aaron Banks needs to get it together. I agree with you. Yeah, Brunskill was brought in. Brunskill was never brought in to be the starter. In 2019, I thought Brunskill and Justin Skule, even though they were backups, they were thrusted into the starting lineup at certain points and times in the season of 2019, and I thought they were very effective in 2019. And for some odd reason, Justin Skule looked terrible last year, and many times Brunskill was unimpressive. Now, when Brunskill went up against Aaron Donald, he was, he looked really good for some odd reason. I mean, I wouldn't be able to dissect why he looked so much better against Aaron Donald, the most dominant defensive lineman, as opposed to when he played other players. But hopefully Brunskill does work this year because we need him. We need him to do well. We need the whole O-line to do well. Welcome back. Hey, there you go. I was just blabbing.
Over for me while my plug wasn't working. So it said that my deal was about to run out. I have
you came in right in the nick of time.
Oh yeah. Go ahead with what you were saying if you want to finish.
Oh, I was finished. I was done. I was like, cool, you came at the right time. I was done with my little Brunskill.
CG made a good point about Jalen Moore. I would totally be okay with him taking taking a crack at the right guard position, because that is a position of huge concern for me. I guess Jalen Moore's he's looked pretty good.
Yes. In
this preseason and in training camp. So, like I said, man, those late round picks, man, I don't know what it is.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if the Niners can hit in the early part of the draft like they do in the late, dude, we would have the best roster every single year.
Maybe it's a good thing that we traded away those first rounders to move up and get Trey Lance.
Anyway, so we might as well just start drafting.
I do think Trey Lance will be a very good early pick. Though I did say that earlier. And
same.
He looks like
stay healthy is going to be a really good.
Yes, idea. Exactly. And I have all the faith in the world. Ayuk. This whole BS about, oh, look at all these drops that he had. It was in 2 drops in the preseason. Big deal. It's preseason.
Yeah, I'm not really concerned about that at all.
Get your mistakes out of the way in preseason. There were no worries or issues about Ayuk this year in camp, in minicamp or training camp, however you want to slice it, where he had a problem catching the ball. His work ethic is through the roof. He's going to be fine.
The one thing I'll say too about Aaron Banks is maybe he needs, I say like they sit him this season, or maybe next he needed to experience a training camp and an off season, and now he'll come in next year and have his body, because he looks soft. He looks like a kid coming into a man's game, and hopefully maybe he comes in next year with a little bit better shape, and he knows what to expect now, because I think some guys, the jump is really huge for them, and they don't know how to take care of their body. And who knows? Maybe he comes in next year with better shape and he's stronger, because he, like you said, he's getting worked by people. His whole thing was pass protection, and dude couldn't protect anything in the preseason.
In that KC game, yeah.
Yeah, that was scary.
was
That's a
funny
good way to
because
get both your quarterbacks killed.
I was about to say Jalen Brown. I don't know why, but Jalen Moore. I think Jalen Brown's a basketball player. Uh, but so anyway, so Jalen Moore in that first preseason game was playing at left tackle, and he actually, when Jimmy G was in the game, he looked really nice. He looked good. And then all of a sudden, here comes Trey Lance, and I remember a play where Aaron Banks got pulverized and Jalen Moore got pulverized, and then you literally see these two guys getting bulldozed simultaneously while Trey Lance has the ball and he's supposed to do something with it as a quarterback, and obviously there was no room for him to do anything. And I was like, "Whoa, this Jalen Moore guy looks bad too." It's but to his credit, he looked a lot better in the Charger game, and I heard a lot of good things about him in camp. And they said, "Hey, Jalen Moore is our swing tackle. You know, if Trent Williams goes down, this is the guy we have backing him up." And so, and maybe they'll think highly enough or try to prep him at one of the guard positions. And if they think he's an upgrade there, why not? You know, I'm for it. We'll see though.
Yeah, no matter where you're drafted, you know, just because you're drafted early, there's never a guarantee that you're going to be anything or have a great career. And you know, some guys come in who are later round picks that are just their whole shtick is to get, you know, people to respect them, and they end up playing better than someone who's a higher round pick and have a longer career. Like there's no guarantee as a high pick that you're going to end up being anything. I think some guys just have to scratch and claw, and I don't know, they just have a different mindset, and they don't have the pressure of being a high pick. I think that's a thing that people don't realize is how much pressure when you come in as a top pick. Like the pressure's on immediately. Like I was telling my people this year about, you know, Bills fans, because I live in Bills country. I'm in Rochester, New York. Pressure's on this year, man. It's different when the pressure's on when you're not coming from out of nowhere and you can sneak up on people. When you're expected to be good, whether that's a team or a player, that pressure is completely different than someone who's just under the radar. So who knows? Maybe he'll come in next year and be in way better shape and be ready. Or maybe, who knows, maybe he turns it on during this year and we're all wrong and all our panic was for nothing. But yeah, like the pressure's different when you're expected to do something than when you're like a 5th round pick and you don't have no expectations. So
yeah. And Quentin, was it Quentin Nelson that's on the Colts, right? That one guard that came out and he was drafted high, and people had high expectations for him right off the bat, and he stepped right in the NFL, and he's like a beast. You know, he played with McGlinchey at Notre Dame as well, and I think that might have been part of it where they saw this guy Aaron Banks look like a monster in college. One thing though, one area of concern is that he came from power scheme, and we don't run power, we run zone.
Nope.
So, you know, there's that part. Some people are all for only bringing scheme players. Some people are all for just bringing in the most talented player, and that talented player can play in any scheme. But it's not always the case, you know. Or if they can play in any scheme, there's an adjustment period. It's not like you just step right into that whole new scheme, and right. It's, you know, and you're right there thinking that, hey, you know, this is nothing. I'm used to this. You know, sometimes, you know, the playbook may look like Chinese or whatever to them, and you know, there's an adjustment period. So, crossing my fingers about Banks. Hopefully, I'd rather see him get acclimated and take his bumps and bruises to a certain extent. Maybe in some games, if we're up by whatever, and we can afford to play the second and third stringers in certain games, why not let them play? I'm not a big fan of the whole redshirting thing. I know if they do that, they did it with Joshua Garnett, and it didn't work. They said, "Oh, well, Joshua Garnett has to change his body, and he has to do this, and he has to do that." And then they were showing him the weight room, and he's like, "Oh, he lost all this weight, but yet he's stronger now." But yeah, at the end of the day, regardless of how much weight he was able to lift, it didn't matter because when he stepped, you know, we got rid of him, and you know, and that was that. So we'll see. Hopefully, he develops. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely too early to give up on a guy, and I don't know. But we'll see. It's definitely going to be the Niners. Like I said, the Niners need to hit on some of these early round picks, man. That's how franchises elongate windows and stay competitive for a longer time, is hitting on your early draft picks, and not having, you know, being fortunate that we've landed a lot of these later round picks. That's not always a guarantee that that's going to happen. So I'm pretty I'm pretty bullish on this roster. I think it's a pretty damn good roster. Really going to come down to health, bro. Like, we just got to stay healthy. And I think if we can stay healthy, I think we're going to be a pretty damn good team offensively and defensively. I'm so enthusiastic that D Ford is healthy, at least right now. Knock on wood. We have a rotation like Arden Key, and we have a guy like Samson of Bucom, and we can kind of like have a little bit of a pitch count, at least for D Ford. Bosa says no pitch count. He's ready to go full go, but I would still give him somewhat of a pitch count. I wouldn't go from 0 to 100. Why? Why do it if you have the option to have a constant flow of fresh guys? So I'm pretty, like I said, I'm bullish on that. I just can't wait till Sunday, man. Like I'm super amped at the same time. I'm super nervous. And then it's, after that, it's going to be hopefully a really long, productive season.
Yeah, yeah. When they moved to 17 games, I kind of cringed because it's like, okay, great. It's bad enough that our team gets injured as much as it does, and now we have another game in the regular season to worry about. But as you said, Sunday. Sunday's coming up, and season's ready to go. And for the most part, we are pretty healthy. The D line, I'm all about building teams in the trenches. By the way, especially on the defense. If somebody says, "Oh, draft this cornerback," and he's going to be the next Deion Sanders or whatever, but if you don't have the pass rush, I'm like, oh no, I'd rather get the pass rusher. So pass rush. That's what it's all about.
And waves.
In 2019, when we had Bosa and Ford there, and then D Ford was kind of like on and off that year. He'd get hurt and then he'd come back or whatever. Still though, we didn't have guys like Arden Key or Ibukam to back them up back then. Mm-hmm. And Arden Key was like a bigger name coming out of college, out of LSU. Buddy of mine, Joey Mahoney, was always talking to me about Arden Key. Always showing me his videos, saying the 49ers should get him. They should get him. He had a little off-field issues at LSU, but regardless, they should still get him because we need that pass rusher. This is after the 2018 season where we didn't really have a pass rush going on. So I was like, okay, I'll think about it. Cool. Let's look into him. He went to the Raiders, but when we picked him up off the Raiders, I looked at his videos, his all 22 films, and people were breaking down his film, and they're basically saying, look, this guy beats his man in the pass rush. He somewhat gets pressure. It's just that he never could seal the deal and get the sack. So I was like, interesting. Well, we do have Chris Kosirik, and we saw what he did with Kerry Hyder. Maybe we could get some production out of Arden Key in the 49ers system with that great coaching and just, as they say, iron sharpens iron, and we have all those other talented defensive linemen to push him and motivate him. So that's an interesting pickup, and he looked decent in the preseason. And I think Ibukam is probably going to look better on the Niners as he did on the Rams. I mean, he's showing in camp that he can get to the quarterback. He, I believe he didn't have a safety, but he had a sack in the Charger game, I believe. And he looks
Jordan
like he's
Willis,
good.
Right?
Yeah, Jordan Willis looked really, really good. Man, those PEDs helped, huh? Those PEDs that they're going to suspend him for the first 6 games,
yeah.
I believe.
It's like a different man.
I don't remember him looking like that last year. I didn't care about him last year.
It's like 2002 Rock versus the Rock in 2013. It looks completely different.
Yeah,
but no PEDs.
Yeah, so he's gonna get that suspension or whatever. So, but hey, I mean, if he looks a whole lot better than he did last year. Like, yeah. So okay, cool. We just have so much talent on that D line. It's gonna be really exciting. Like you said, the rotation factor. Keeping guys fresh, and that's definitely. And what about this guy Zach Kerr? I mean, he has just looked like. I mean, as much as I want to see Kinlaw on the field, and I hear he might be really, really good. Zach Kerr to me looks like he can already be that guy.
Him and Contavious Street.
Yeah,
and DJ Jones. Amazing,
I've been talking about Contavious Street for quite some time, and people just overlook him, or they tell me, why do I talk about him? Who cares about him? I'm like, I don't know, man. Are you paying attention to what I'm watching? Because when I see Contavious Street out there, I see a guy that looks like the freaking Incredible Hulk and ready to push the pile and make things happen. So,
yeah, we are deep, man. Like I said, I was just mentioning Kevin Givens too.
Yeah, it's just crazy, man. I wish we were deep like that in other positions.
Right. I wanted to go back about something about Aaron Banks. When I had Larry Krueger on my show, Larry Krueger pretty much said that the thing with Aaron Banks coming out of college is he had slow feet. And that doesn't really, like you said, it doesn't translate to the offense we run, where you got to have quick feet because we're doing a lot of pulling. So I thought it was interesting that Larry kind of was like going back to the guy's scouting report, and then the fact that the Niners still drafted a guy with slow feet to be in a run scheme where guys have to be able to move. It doesn't make a lot of sense, but hopefully like I said, like you said, hopefully he gets it and he clicks and he's able to become an effective offensive guard because we need him for sure.
What should we do? Get him on Dancing with the Stars or something, or hook him up with a choreographer or
No,
something?
we should
get
definitely
his feet
get
ready?
him in. We should definitely get him in ballerina classes. Though.
Okay, there you go, ballerina. Right.
Definitely, a little tutu, whatever. Yeah, man. I'm stoked. I'm stoked for Sunday. I'm definitely stoked for the season. I plan on probably, if I don't do something after the game, because I know I'm going to call in to the Red and Gold Wrap. Larry Kruger gave me the number for people who are on the East Coast, so I
saw that. I saw you talk about that. Yeah,
yeah. I actually texted him, and he texted it back. I'm like, I'm going to call into that show. So if I don't stream later on Sunday after the games, like this game's over at 4 or something, so that for me, games that end at like 7, 8 o'clock, and then I listen to the post game. I might do the Monday, like a Monday morning quarterback type thing. It's everybody's different. Some people have jobs, so they work from home and they can do a lot of stuff and have a lot of streams. I work a physical job. I'm tired, so like I have to plan my streams around how I feel. So, but I'm just stoked that the games are back, man. If you want, I just have you kind of repeat where people can find you. I want everybody to subscribe to this man's channel because I want to see him grow just like I like seeing everybody else grow. A lot of guys are hitting that 1K milestone that started streaming a little bit after me. So I'm really happy for a lot of people. And I want to see everybody do that. So drop a like, not a like, drop a subscribe on 49er Minded. And let's get this guy, let's get his subcon up, man. Let's go.
Yeah. So I'm 49er Minded on YouTube. If you type in 49er Minded on Instagram, that's my account. That's me. On Twitter, my actual Twitter handle is BEEZEEE 49ers. But if you just type 49er Minded, it'll also come up too. I've searched my name. I've searched 49er Minded on Twitter. It still comes up, even though that's not my actual Twitter name. And on Facebook, there's a 49er Minded group. So I am planning on bringing on bigger guests in the future. I've reached out to certain people, and so we might bring some bigger name guests on the show. But at the same time, I love to bring on fellow YouTube content creators, even if they are just beginners like me, because we're a community and we're all about helping each other out. I strongly believe in that. So, and the most important thing is I'm on here to have fun. So if people want to come here, if people want to talk 49ers with me, guess what? I'm having fun because I always have fun when I talk 49ers now.
Exactly.
For 1 of 15, it may not be so fun, but I'm always here to talk Niners regardless of who it is. So if, I'll always tell people if they reach out to me, we can always collab and do a show or whatever. I'm all for it. Or me to hop on their stream. Well, sure, why not? Let's do it.
To me, it's not a pissing contest. I'm not trying to show anybody up. I want everybody to have success on YouTube. Some people aren't as serious about it. If they have a couple hundred subs, they're cool. My personal goal was 1K, and now I'm approaching 2K. So it's like,
yeah, congratulations.
Everybody has a different goal for this. If you can get monetized and make a little money off of it and doing something that you're passionate about, then that's awesome too. I'm always about supporting anybody who is doing this that does it for the right reasons. I want to say in the chat to Tanya Seau, I'm all about the ladies who love football and know football. I'm super supportive of that. So thank you for popping in here. Sorry, I'm not super interactive. I sometimes I try to be. If I'm solo, I tend to be more interactive with the chat. When I have people on, I want them to kind of have the floor. You know what I mean? So, to all the ladies that like football and know football, I freaking love it. I think it's awesome. I'm all for it. I think it's the more the merrier. If you're a lady and you like football, awesome. So, bro, it's been a pleasure having you on. I definitely want to collab in the future again. But I just, I'm all about, like I said, I'm all about trying to, if someone's on the branch below me, I want to bring them up with me and we can all be on the same, level. So
totally appreciate
thanks
that.
for coming on. And, I can't wait for this Sunday, bro.
Oh yeah.
Stoked.
And I'd love to meet up again in the season and just talk about how we're doing and what progression we need to make further. And Tanya Seau, are you related to Junior Seau by any chance or what?
Right.
I had a pleasure being on here, man.
And I'm like, I wanted to say something, but I didn't want to be a smart ass. But you took that from me, so.
I have to. I'm always curious like that. Once I see a last name, I always try to make a connection with the next person. So.
But yeah, I'm ready. I'm ready for
I'm
this
definitely
season.
ready.
So everybody, thanks for popping in here. Thanks for helping in the chat, talking, interacting. Again, thank you, Bashar, for coming on here. And
Thank you.
until next time, everybody, I'll see you on the flip side, everyone. Have a good night.